And principals, it is my honor, my distinct pleasure and privilege to welcome to Edgecombe County our Lieutenant Governor, Mark Robinson, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to make some noise with that.
Yeah, I don't need that. Don't quite know what you say. So I guess the very first, well, before I do anything, why didn't you tell me to take your towel at the time? Somebody, I didn't get the memo. I didn't know we were going to be in the bar. I wanted more boots and jeans. I got a schedule back in Raleigh I need to have a conversation with. So the very first thing we're going to do is always we're going to thank our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because He is the reason why we live in this blessed and prosperous land, and the reason why we have all these wonderful freedoms, the wonderful reason why we have the ability to do what we do. So we give Him thanks first and foremost. Can everybody hear me? All right, great. So what do y'all want to talk about? Come on, guys. I do like a ton of these things. I'm running out of stuff to talk about. Somebody give me something to talk about. Come on, guys. Oh, look, I got a lot of material I can cover here. I'm really just kidding. So here it is. As Republicans, you just heard all these say, as Republicans, we have in 2022 a unique and golden opportunity to do some amazing things. And why do we have that opportunity? Well, I can give you one reason in particular. His name is Joe Biden. And he is the goose who lays the golden gas. The Biden administration has been an absolute 100% disaster. This man has not succeeded at anything since he's been president. He's succeeded at very little in his 47, 48 years in office. What he's done while he's been in office is completely reverse the fortunes that we began to see back in 2016. All that big talk that the media did about how bad President Trump was, about President Trump's going to run the country bankrupt, President Trump's going to get us into a war, President Trump is a bigot. Yeah. None of that came true. The 4 years that President Trump spent in the White House were 4 of the best years of this nation's history. It is undeniable. CNN can get mad all they want, ABC can get mad all they want, the leftists can get mad all they want, but the proof was that it couldn't. They were 4 of the best years of this country's history. 4 of the best years economically. 4 of the best years as far as foreign affairs. And 4 of the most peaceful years that we've seen in a while. But then, we had the election 2020. And somehow, don't know how, some people say it was mail-in balloting, some people say it was machines, some people say it was some other nefarious form, but somehow Joe Biden ended up being our president. And look what's happened since then. Very first thing he did when he took office was cut our gas off, cut off that building in the pipeline. You know, I had somebody ask me online and said, how in the world do you think oil gas or oil coming from Canada is going to help the United States of America. I don't know how you think gas from Russia is helping the United States of America, guy. Where would you rather get it? Right here on this continent, amongst a nation that's a quasi-friend right now, seeing as how they have a communist in office. Would you rather get it from Russia or would you rather get it from Canada? Would you rather get it by our own hands or wait again to behest of people who hate us? As soon as he got in office, he cut our ability to be energy independent. Cut it almost completely off. And the leftist environmentalists here in this state and across the nation continue to do the same thing. It's literally as if they want to bring us to our knees for some reason. The Biden administration is leading the charge in that area. It's been complete chaos since then. The debacle in Afghanistan. Oh boy. My goodness. Not since Vietnam, the end of Vietnam has this nation been so humiliated. And oddly enough, the person that was in charge, I believe he was in office, was he not, when that happened? He's someone who clearly should know the importance of how to end the war with dignity and honor and respect, and he did not do it. Why? Because he's too focused on becoming an environmentalist and a social justice warrior. He doesn't care anything about the content of somebody's character. We can tell that by the person that he just put on the Supreme Court. An individual who went through many years of school, many years of school, sat in a college classroom for years, doesn't know what a woman is. It's disturbing. The Biden administration has done in this country. It's been an absolute shame, and it's been dangerous. We're now at the behest of countries like Russia and Iran and Saudi Arabia to depend on them for our energy. In some ways, we're dependent on other nations for food. All the while, our president sits in office and says, the major threat to the world today is global warming, climate change. In case WRAL is in here and would like to write this down about my opinion of climate change, I'm going to tell you my opinion of climate change. Here's Mark Robinson's class on climate change. 4 times a year, the climate change. At the beginning of the year, we have winter. And then we have spring. And then we have summer. And then we have fall. And then it starts over again. There's your climate change. Class dismissed. The major threat to this country is not climate change. Climate change is junk science meant for the specific purpose of bringing nations to its knees to empower an elite few. You make no mistake about that. That's what climate change is all about. That's the reason why they're trying to vex our children's mind and fall into the trap to believing that the earth that they live on is somehow going to fall apart if they don't recycle that plastic bottle. What a bunch of hogwash. Meanwhile, these children can't even read on a grade level. Existential threat to this world right now is something called socialism. Socialism has destroyed far more nations and ended far more lives than climate change ever will. It is a dangerous virus. Once upon a time was way off of our shores. Now sits firmly in the highest places in our government, including our White House, in our Congress, and in our Senate. He even sits down on Blunt Street down there in Raleigh. I mean, what else do you call a man who would willfully make you shut down your business because of a virus? What else would you call a man who tells you you can't go to church? What else would you call a man who would have the unmitigated gall to tell you how many people you can have in your house for Thanksgiving stay 6 feet apart. Wait a minute, in this section we can only have 10, and in this section we can only have 10. The protests were wide open. Roy Cooper was right out there with him with his mask off, thumbing his nose at those churches and businesses that he shut down. When Thanksgiving came around and they told us, you can't have so many people at your house for Thanksgiving. You can only have 5 to 10, no more. I made sure I put a social media post out that said this: Thanksgiving this year at my house will be a protest against hunger, all level. What we've seen over the past 2 years from the left with this debacle over this virus is something that we can never tolerate again, folks. I just had a conversation with a gentleman down here who was very concerned about that issue. Now, I appreciate his comments to me. Although I somewhat disagree with his comments, I appreciate his comments. Why? Because it shows that people are engaged and that they care. And they want elected officials that are going to do something to make sure that this type of behavior ceases. What we saw come out of the governor's mansion over the COVID issue, can't tolerate that anymore. What we saw come out of the issue of COVID from the Biden administration, we can't allow that anymore. We have got to stand up and push the principles that we know that work in this nation. What are those principles? What are they? You know what they are. There's something. Freedom. Integrity. Principles that work. Back in 2010, the Republicans took this state over. They took over the legislature. And when they did, they started saying all those things that Republicans say. Repeating all those principles that Republicans say. We're going to cut taxes. We're going to lower taxes. We're going to do those things that build businesses and communities. And what did the left say? Oh no, the state's going to go broke. Like the state wasn't already broke. The state's going to go broke. We're going to see the worst economy we've ever seen in this state. The Republicans are going to enrich the rich and drive everybody else into the poorhouse. But what happened? The exact opposite. We see North Carolina standing now where we were some billions of dollars of debt to the federal government. We now see us debt-free to the federal government. We now see a surplus in our budget. We now see teachers getting raises. We're now desperately seeking state employees to drive DOT trucks. We are firing on all cylinders. Business after business after business are announcing that they are coming to North Carolina. Why? Because we operate on principles that work. So, all this says, what does all of that mean? It means this. The only way we continue to make sure that the good times in North Carolina continue, and the only way we fill in the missing gaps in North Carolina right now is if all of us do what Ali said. We have got to get to work. Now is not the time for us to lay back on our laurels, folks. Now is not the time for us to say, well, everybody's mad with Joe Biden, so everybody's going to vote Republican. I ain't got to do anything. It's going to be easy this time. Anybody who's been watching for the last 50 years knows that when the Democrats get desperate, they get dangerous. And that's the time to double down. You see, they got desperate in 2020. They had to have something to help them defeat Donald Trump. They had to have something to keep Dan Forrest from getting in the governor's mansion. They had to have something. They had a windfall in something called COVID. They played it up to the hilt. We have got to be on our toes in 2022, folks. And here it is. We can't just go in swinging. Let me go ahead and say this. We can't just go in swinging like crazy people. We can't. We got to go in with a plan and with a purpose. We got to understand something, that sometimes me say this too. These primaries, some of them have been tough. They continue to be tough. And some of them are very contentious. There's some hard feelings in some of these primaries right now. But I can assure you, when these primaries are over, if we don't come back together, get back on the same team, and move forward as a unit, we are going to squander the golden opportunity that we have. Let's do these primaries. Let the best man or woman win. And when it's finished, let's get back together as a team. You know, I call primaries for scrimmage. How many times have you seen the Dallas Cowboys? I ain't gonna use them because they don't win games. They haven't won anything since the DVR was invented. All this stuff's still on video. How many times have you seen the New England Patriots have a scrimmage game and they get mad because one side or the other lost and then go out on the field and fight each other? They don't do that. When the scrimmage is over and they made the decision about who's going to be the quarterback, who's going to be the running back, they hit the field to bring the team victory. That's what we need to do when these primaries are over, folks, because the Democrats are planning on us. They're planning on us and plotting on us to do that infighting and that backbiting. They're planning on folks to stay home because their certain candidate didn't win. They're planning on it. And they're making plans right now to take advantage of it. Can't let that happen. I can tell you right now, any Republican is better than any of the current crop of Democrats out there. You don't believe me? Take a look at what's going on in our school system. You know, my wife came to me the other day and told me, said, there's a school in Greensboro, here in Greensboro, that's passing out permission slip for a satanic club. I still think that has got to be a joke. And I've seen it all over social media. Earlier in the year, some children went to that same principal and asked that principal, could they start a Christian club? The Christian club was denied. But now they are passing out permission slips for a satanic club. That is in a public school in North Carolina. Still think we need to be divided? Still think we need to be sitting at home, not working? I'm telling you folks, these people on the other side of the aisle from us have lost their minds. They are teaching our children filth in school. Yes, I said filth. I know how WRL hates that phrase, so I use it often. How else can you describe presenting pornography to children? It's filthy. I don't care if it's homosexual, heterosexual, I don't care what it is. It's a filthy practice. To tell these young children to question what gender they are. Are you kidding me? You need to take a look at the crime rate right now. You know what I'm really sick of, guys? I'm sick to death of this. I'm sick to death of opening the social media page and seeing people with these cameras filming the police. You know the people I'm talking about. The cops are arresting some guy who's obviously a criminal, and here's the guy, the social justice warrior with the camera. Do you have the right to be arresting that man? He's a legal citizen. I don't think we have the right to be doing that. Harassing the cops, haranguing the cops, calling them to stop them, calling them pigs. My question is this. I'll challenge any of you right now. Open your phone and show me a video of one of those clowns harassing a drug dealer. Say that once. They know where the drug dealers are. Show me the videos. Show me the videos of them harassing the gangbangers down in the corner who congregated at the basketball court. The little kids can't play because the gangbangers are down there with their guns and their drugs. in the neighborhood and the human traffickers. You see very little of that. And why? Why do you see very little of that? Why are these social justice warriors out going after the criminals who are destroying their neighborhoods? Because elected officials are not encouraging them to. Elected officials are encouraging them to go after the police. And the ones who are not encouraging them are not saying anything about the issue. Simply let it happen. Because they're too afraid. I go ahead and take it like this. I'm not afraid. I wasn't afraid before I started running for office. I wasn't afraid when I was running for office. And I'm not afraid now that I'm in office. Because something has got to be done, folks. The current condition of law and order in this country is poor at best. Every day you hear about the shootings every day. Every day. You hear about the robberies, the mass robberies, these folks running in and cleaning out these stores. Nobody's doing anything about it. You hear about child molesters being let off with merely a slap on the wrist. You hear about transgender men in prison impregnating women. What kind of society are we setting up for our children? Let me go back and ask the question. What kind of society did George Washington and Thomas Jefferson set up for us? What kind of society did Abraham Lincoln and his contemporaries and Frederick Douglass, what kind of society did they set up for us? What kind of society did the greatest generation fight to give us? What kind of society are those who fought through the era of the civil rights movement? What kind of society did they bequeath us? You think about all that, you think about what we're passing on to our children right now. Simply because many of us refuse to stand up and do what's necessary. And what is necessary? What is necessary is for ordinary men and women to stand up and say, frankly, I will not allow this. I'm not going to allow this. Have you noticed the change since moms and dads started going down to the school board? You see how fearful the federal government got. They came out and called them domestic terrorists. Why? Because they are afraid. You know, there are two things that we need to make afraid again. We need to make criminals afraid again, and we need to make politicians afraid again. Sadly, there's not too much difference in those two things. I say that in all sincerity as a politician. But today is the day, folks, and now is the time. Now is the time. It's not the time to lay back and think that we got it. I too remember all those folks saying, the joke about Trump having 2020 vision because he got 2020. I remember those jokes. And I remember thinking, guys, don't be too sure. Don't be too sure. The Patriots were 18-0. They thought they were going to beat the Giants. It didn't happen. Got to be on our toes. We got to stay on our toes. Because we got work to do. When I say we got work to do, I don't mean we just got work to do with this election. The real work is going to start after we win. And we are going to win. Make no mistake about it. We're going to win. But then the real work starts. And here's the real work for me. The real work for me is getting back to Raleigh and going back to those House members and those Senate members and sitting them down and saying, okay, guys, now the people in this state have delivered a supermajority to you. What are you going to do with it? You going to do the same old? Or are we going to see some constitutional carry coming through? Are we going to see some moves made to make sure that Roy Cooper's powers are trimmed for his last 2 years in office? Are we going to make sure we see some bills passed so that folks aren't forced into taking a vaccine that they don't want to take? some moves to reimagine how we educate our children. And I mean some serious moves. Not just appoint some new school board members. Making some solid changes that are going to last for decades in this state. Turn around that awful statistic of us spending half of our state budget on education while our children can't read on a grade level. What are we going to do with it? See, that's when the work starts. Now, I'm here to tell you right now, just like that joke that came up and questioned me here, we got no super majorities in Raleigh this year. You need to be on your representatives. You need to stay on. That includes me. Because we are not going to squander another opportunity like we had before. We had the opportunity to do many great things when we had a super majority and we had a Republican governor in this state before. It slipped away from us. Can't allow that to happen this time. We see the dreadful effects of what happens when we don't make those moves. Now is the time to strike while the iron is hot. So, I make this solemn pledge to you. And when we win in November, the work starts. Starts for me, starts for my colleagues, starts for these judges, starts for these Congress men and women, starts for the senators. Starts for you also. Then again, after you get the person in office, keep your eye on them. Make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do because you guys are the storekeepers. Elected officials are managers. They're not managers, well, you need to be all over. And again, where's that fella at? See him here. That fella back here. That includes me, sir. That includes me. I admire your tenacity for coming and stepping up to me and asking me those questions. Even though I disagree with you, I admire that tenacity. That tenacity needs to fill this room tonight in all of us. We all need to stand up and fight for what's right. Always. All the time. During elections, after elections. Those guys, I'm going to tell you what. Time I turn the TV on, I see this country slipping away a little bit more. I see things getting worse and worse. I see lunacy taking over. I see chaos reigning. I see a president who's ineffective and a vice president who's simply not there. But then I come to meetings like this, and I see people like you. And I'm encouraged once again because I know those are not the people that run the country. You are. This country is state. It's in your hands. Do with it as you will. And I believe you're going to do the right thing. I believe we're going to be successful. And I believe we're going to leave a better North Carolina than we found. We're going to leave it for our future generations.